Member for Riverina.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The member for Watson sitting opposite has been to my electorate. He's seen how much food we grow. But they did indeed. They did indeed. They couldn't wait to see the back of you. But anyway, be that as it may, Deputy Speaker, I have a personal explanation. And that is that I can't cook. My wife Catherine will back me up on that. I can't cook, but I am going to give Labor a little bit of a cooking lesson. Now, the minerals resource rent tax was the magic pudding which failed to rise. And I've got to say that Annabelle Crabb and her kitchen cabinet would not come near my home whilst I'm actually at the stove any time soon. But the MRRT was the magic pudding which failed to rise. To listen to Labor in government, you would be forgiven for thinking that the MRRT was indeed a magic pudding. Now, the member for Lilly, he baked it. Former Prime Minister Rudd, he choked on it. And former Prime Minister Gillard, well, she reheated it. Not only reheated it, but then she doled it out so many times over that it actually cost more than it ever raised. There was a pudding which was high in sugar. It was very, very low in fibre. Had it not been abolished, had it not been scrapped, Labor's mining tax could have been expected to raise $668.5 million over the forward estimates, that's 2014-15 to 2017-18. The associated spending was to reach more than $17 billion. That's $17,000 million over the same period. Now, no matter how thinly you cut the slices, Deputy Speaker, you can't pay for $17,000 million worth of spending with $668.5 million in revenue. And that's the great con. Let's remember that around 125 taxpayers were required to comply with the tax without ever having to pay anything, wasting millions of dollars in compliance costs and red tape, the economic equivalent of empty calories, if you will. Now, we came to government with a promise to repeal the carbon tax and to repeal the mining tax. And in 1 year, that's exactly what we've done. We've had to negotiate the passage of the mining tax repeal. It's true. Had to get it through the Senate. Now, the Minister for Finance is to be particularly commended for his diligence and resolve in these negotiations. But our repeal package will still deliver a significant improvement to the budget over the forward estimates and beyond. We are eating our greens. I'm not really that in favour of the greens, but I don't mind eating them. But not banking on a pudding which won't rise. Not banking on a pudding which won't rise, which won't deliver. Now, Labor is trying to have its cake and eating it too. You thought Bill Shorten could throw out the one-liners, but I tell you what, this is better than Bill. If Labor had not continued to frustrate the government's clear mandate, that's what we were given last September, on the repeal of the mining tax, the changes that government has had to make may not have been necessary. You can't refuse to budge and then make ridiculous claims about dirty deals. You can't do that. Instead, we are making responsible changes to the phasing of the superannuation guarantee. Labor claims to care about workers, but increases in the superannuation guarantee are funded from reductions in take-home wages and business profits, and we heard that from the member for Kooyong earlier. Now, in question time today, if those opposite had been listening, they would have heard the Treasurer, and he's a good man, the Treasurer, and he's doing a very tough job. I don't envy him. I don't envy him the job that he's doing, but I tell you what, he's doing a fine job. Fine job of fixing up the mess that mob opposite left us. Now, we heard from the Treasurer, the member for North Sydney in question time today, talk about 24 successive years of economic growth, probably not helped in part by the 6 years that Labor were in office, but be that as it may. We heard the Treasurer talking about making decisions in the national interest, I'll just ignore the member for Charlton. I'll tell you what his electorate will at the next election. But we heard the Treasurer talk about how the mining sector is contributing 1% of the 3% of growth in the national accounts. 1%, a third, indeed. And that's significant. So why would, with all that growth that the mining sector provides, why are those opposite trying to slug the mining industry with a job-destroying mining tax? And that's why, thank goodness, we got rid of it yesterday. Now, we heard about iron exports, a record 181.4 million tonnes in the June quarter alone. That is significant, and that is a 28% higher than for the same period last year. We're getting on with the job of fixing the economy in the national interest. Those opposite just want to bring back a mining tax and
Order.
bring back a carbon tax.
Honourable members.